Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF race of the day for Thursday, September the 1st. It's race number 9 on opening day of the Kentucky Downs meeting. It's the $400,000 Tapit Stakes. We're going 1 mile and 70 yards on this spacious turf course, and I'll be back with the full preview in 15 seconds.
Want to view free Formulator past performances for this race? Head to the Race of the Day page at DRF.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel and bet this card with DRF Bets.
Let's take a look at the field for the Tapit, and if you like full fields of competitive turf horses, you get the entire meet at Kentucky Downs. This Tapit is a fantastic betting race, a big field of evenly matched horses. You've got last year's winner, the number 1 Ramsay Solution, breaking from the inside post. He is now trained by Safi Joseph. Trainer Michael Maker is very well represented. Let's see where Timeform US has some of these horses on its pace projector. I 100% agree with Timeform US that the 11 Mega City is going to be on the lead, barring a disastrous break. He's been on the pace in his last 5 starts, and that's his game. He is a speed horse. Ramsay Solution came from off the pace last time out due to circumstance. He sort of got bumped at the start, and that forced his hand to be taken back. He is a lot more tactically inclined than that, and I think with a good break from the inside post, he is going to be close to the pace as well. Let's start things off with last year's winner of this race, the number 1 Ramsay Solution. He sat just off the pace to win that day. I think this year's edition is a little bit tougher than the 2021 Tapit, but Ramsay Solution shrugged off about 11 months on the sidelines with a very good-looking performance over the Tapit at Gulfstream. Let's watch that race. And again, he got bumped around at the start, and that took him out of his game, you would think. But this pace was very fast. They went the half in 46-3. Ramsay Solution comes over the top. It takes him a while to change leads, and once he does, he is gone. And you know what you're going to get from Ramsay Solution. He's the kind of horse that shows up whether it's turf or synthetic, and he's going to run a buyer speed figure in the low to mid-90s while usually being very competitive. Don't be fooled by that last race on synthetic. He won this race last year, and I think it's very important to state prior experience and prior successful experience at Kentucky Downs is a major positive. Not all horses like the configuration at Kentucky Downs. Ramsay Solution showed last year he does like it, he's coming into form the right way, and he can get a lot closer to the pace. The number 2 is Super Dorma. Let's watch Super Dorma's last start. This race is at Woodbine. It's an allowance event last month going 3/4 of a mile. He got right up close to the pace in this race. He attacks the leader turning into the stretch. He draws off and has no issues winning. He looked very good in this start, a 91 buyer speed figure. My main concern with Super Dorma isn't necessarily stepping up in class or moving to Kentucky Downs. He was 3rd, beaten a half length in a graded stakes race sprinting here in 2020, but that race was sprinting, and this horse has been a sprinter his entire career. Now they're going to stretch him out to 1 mile and 70, and I think at Kentucky Downs with the undulating ground, 1 mile and 70 might actually play a little bit longer than your typical middle distance race. Super Dorma has a speed pedigree on the bottom. While the Intermischiefs can do just about anything, I am concerned about this horse stepping back up in class and combining that with a step up in distance. I think he can be a little bit closer to the pace, but the distance is a concern. The 3 is Like the King. Now, he's turning back in distance for Mark Cassidy, and I don't mind that at all. Let's watch his last start. It was only his 3rd race of the year. The 1.25 mile Niagara at Woodbine, he got right up close to the lead from the inside. He has the lead in the stretch, and he just gets a little bit tired at the end to finish 3rd. Now, he's going to have to run a little bit faster from a buyer's standpoint, but I think cutting back to 1 mile, and this time getting a more patient ride, sitting just off the pace with a couple of targets in front of him, it'll help a horse like the King, who has always shown quality in his career, whether it's on the synth. He won the Jeff Ruby Stakes, the Kentucky Derby Prep on the all-weather back in 2021, or on the turf, where he was 2nd in the testing Grade 3 Kent over a soft turf course going 1 mile and 1/8. I like the King turning back. I think he can make a late run in this race. He just has to run a little bit faster. The number 4 is Peace Achieved. And Peace Achieved's last running line might not look like much. I think it's a lot better than it looks on paper. It was his first start in over a year, and he very likely needed that race. He was going against an old class master named Ivar in that race in Horseshoe, Indianapolis, and the race has so far come back pretty live. The 6th place finisher returning to win a stakes race at Ellis Park with a 97 Beyer speed figure. Peace Achieved has success at Kentucky Downs. He was a stakes winner over this surface as a 2-year-old. I think he benefits from a fitness perspective from that last race, and he can do a lot better in his second start off of a lengthy layoff and a Beskiza aboard for Norm Cassie. 20-1 on the morning line. The number 5 is Atone. Atone will be making his Kentucky Downs debut for Michael Maker, who's one of the better turf trainers in the entire game. Atone is the kind of horse that has the tactical speed to work out good trips. You usually know where Atone is after the first quarter to a half mile. It's 3rd or 4th, sitting in a very nice spot. If he needs the lead where the pace is slow, like in the dinner party 3 starts back at Pimlico, he can get to the front. My issue with Atone is this. He has quality. We've seen that 2 starts and 3 starts back where he placed in graded stakes races. We've also seen him lose in allowance races. To me, he's the kind of horse that runs to the level of his competition. Last time out, 3rd level allowance at Saratoga, ran just fine, but he got beat. This is a horse where you might want to make sure you get your price. He's 4-1 on the morning line. I might need a little bit more because I've kind of seen his act. He's very solid. He fits well from this class level, but we've seen that many times from him in the past, and he finds 1 or 2 better. He should have a good trip under Tyler Gaffalione. He won't be a surprise when he wins. The 6 is Flora Form, who finished ahead of Atone in this race at Saratoga. 3rd level allowance for Bill Mott on August the 4th, and he's in your Juddmonte colors. He's going to get beat a nose, and he's lightly raced enough where he can take another step forward. That last race we just saw, that was a career best Beyer of 95. Bill Mott's barn has been red hot as of late, and Flora Form has always hinted at the ability to get it done at the stakes level. Graded stakes placed earlier this year at Tampa Bay, beaten less than 2 lengths at Churchill Downs in the Arlington, a race where that course has obviously had its share of problems. He's another horse that's tactical. I think he'll be taken back and make 1 run, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he takes a step forward. 9-2 on the morning line, a little bit light, but again, I would expect some improvement. The 7 is Shadow Sphinx, making his first start off the Peter Miller claim. Let's watch his last race at Del Mar. This race was about 3 weeks ago, a $50,000 claiming event, and they went pretty quick the opening quarter here, 22 flat. Shadow Sphinx didn't break very well, was far back, and as you see, kind of had to sort of pick his way through horses. He gets up to finish 2nd. This is a likable horse. He's won 11 times in his career, but he's taking a huge step up in class. He's never run against stakes horses in his career. This will be start number 29. Big step up. The last race for $50,000. A couple of horses have come out of that race. They haven't acquitted themselves very well just yet. Shadow Sphinx has back races from a Beyer speed figure standpoint that makes him competitive. Now he's got to do it against stakes horses over a course that's a lot different than the one he raced over at Del Mar last time out. New Year's Surprise won last time out at Mountaineer, going a 2-turn 7 furlongs, and he fell behind a very fast pace. I know the fractions don't look fast. That interior split, the 2nd quarter mile of this race, was very fast. And New Year's Surprise took advantage late by just getting up to win. The Beyer speed figure was light, only a 67. These connections have pulled off big upsets in the past, and maybe this horse will like the configuration of Kentucky Downs. He was 2nd in a maiden special weight here back last fall. New Year's Surprise, though, to me, would be a big surprise as he steps way back up in class. The 9 is Law Professor, and Law Professor has run well on turf, has run well on dirt, a graded stakes winner of the off-the-turf Mathis Brothers Mile to finish off his 3-year-old campaign. He then ran 2nd to Express Train, one of the better older handicap horses on dirt, in his first start at 4. His only turf race this year came 2 starts back in the Kilroe Mile, and he worked out a good trip. He was tracking the pace 3 wide. He got in a little bit tight in mid-stretch, but I think he might have been one-paced and beaten at that point. And then Count Again, who's one of the better turf milers in the entire country, was able to run over everybody and win that race. Law Professor, I thought, looked a little bit uncomfortable just the way he was moving at the end of that turf race. They ran him at Oaklawn on the dirt last time out. It was a very disappointing performance. I think getting back to turf's going to help this horse. That Frank Kilroe produced 2 next out winners. The 4th place horse, Beyond Brilliant, came back to win the Grade 2 Charlie Whittingham with a 99 Beyer. He can be forwardly placed. And like a couple of others in here, like Flora Flora Form, I think that Law Professor is lightly raced enough that we've yet to see his best. Now, he's going to have to do this in his first start off of a little bit of a layoff for trainer Rob Atras. We haven't seen Law Professor since early April. For me, it's kind of a wait-and-see approach, but maybe you can sneak this horse into the bottom of my single race exotics. The 10 is Skyro, and Skyro can be close to the pace, as he was 2 starts back on turf at Churchill Downs, a second-level allowance where he was up close to a very fast opening quarter mile and still stayed around to the end. He was only beaten a half length. The 5th place finisher from that race would return to run second for a 62,500 tag at Saratoga with a 91 buyer. Skyro returned to dirt last time out, going a 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs. He got it done very nicely. This is a horse who's in good form. I think he could be slightly better on the dirt at this point in his career, but he does have excellent tactical speed. There's another one that should be in the thick of things when they turn into the stretch. Let's watch Mega City's last race. I talked about Michael Maker's prowess on turf. When Maker claims a horse, beware. This was Mega City's first start after being taken for $80,000, a winning effort at Churchill Downs. At Lone Star in the Texas Turf Classic, he made the lead, and he had to go very fast that third quarter. 23 seconds to try to create some separation, and he briefly did create separation, but you see him drifting out at the end. He's going to interfere with the runner-up, and he's going to end up being disqualified and placed second behind Field Pass. Still, it was a really nice first effort for Maker. He's the speed of the speed in here, and he could easily take this field all the way if they leave him alone. He is a horse that's gotten very good, and if Maker likes him, and usually he claims him and steps him up in class and switches the distances around, it does a very good sign, and he did very well last time. The 12 is In Love, and In Love had a very big season in 2021. He won a restricted race at Kentucky Downs, the TVG. That was a springboard into him winning the Grade 1 Keeneland Turf Mile, and I don't think he ran badly in the Breeders' Cup Mile at all, beaten less than 5 lengths by Space Blues, an internationally renowned turf horse. He's had 2 starts this year. I was disappointed in his first race back, and maybe he needed it. Ran him in a Grade 1 off the layoff, the Maker's Mark Mile, a race that produced several next out winners. But he just sort of saved ground at the back, and he kind of plugged along down towards the inside. I just didn't see any excuse for that race other than the layoff. There was an excuse for his last race, the Grade 1 Manhattan on Belmont Stakes Day, where Paulo Lobo tried something different, and that was the distance. They tried to stretch him all the way out to 1.25 miles, and the trip was fine. He stalked 3 wide behind Tribhuvan, who set a good, legitimate pace up front and just kept right on going. In Love just got tired at the end of that race. 1.25 miles is, I think, a bridge too far for him. That Manhattan was a live race. It produced 4 next out winners. The runner-up, Adamo, would come back to win the Grade 1 UN. The 6th place finisher, Santine, would come back to win the Grade 1 Arlington Million with a 106 buyer speed figure. In Love gets the class relief he needs, but more importantly, the distance relief he needs. He's getting back to a middle distance, 7-2 on the morning line. I'd like to give him one more chance based on the form we saw him in last fall and, of course, last year at Kentucky Downs. From an also-eligible standpoint, Spanish Kingdom, he's stepping up off a 3 other than allowance race. Baker's Bay is a horse that I've been chasing for a while. He does like Kentucky Downs. I'm just not sure if at this point in his career he's ready to take on a tough field like this. Newsworthy might be the best of the also-eligibles. He's coming into this race for Bill Mott. He's won 3 of his last 4, but it is a step up in class. Before we get to my top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV video offerings. Top pick time for the Tapit. I want to give In Love one more chance, turning back to 1 mile. I think there should be enough pace for him to run at in this race. The 1.25 miles last time, I think, was just a little bit too tough for him. I'm going 12, 5, 11, and 1 in the Tapit, your Thursday race of the day. Good luck.